800,000 federal workers still won't have their jobs back by the new year as the government shutdown continues. And we're taking time this morning to recognize family members who serve as unpaid caregivers for their loved ones.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's Friday, December 28th. We have some breaking news at the top of the show. Chris has never made a snowman.
I haven't.
What?
I don't know how. I was driving back from Kentucky and I thought, you know, you've gone sledding, you've gone tubing, you've had snowball fights, you've made plenty of snow
Texas native
angels.
problems here.
But I've never made a snowman.
I
don't even know how. I feel like you just start with like a little snowball and then you start rolling it.
Plenty of practice is in your future,
Well,
sir.
if we can get some snow around here, I've been waiting. We'll see if we can get some later on today, though. That is the hope as we go through your first alert forecast. Check this out, though. Winter has taken control of the western half of the country. 76 in Miami right now. Just thought I'd point that out. But 2 as you work your way up towards Bismarck. So a 74-degree temperature spread nationwide right now. We're right in the middle in Madison. Oh, the temperature has fallen 10 degrees in the past hour. We were at 46 in the last update. Now at 36.
Wow,
Winds out of the
crazy.
west at 9. Man, you love weather sometimes. This is cool. All right, 37 as you work your way up towards La Crosse, 13 in Brainerd. And we're all going to be watching those colder temperatures work their way on into town. Already, you're starting to see some light snow developing up near La Crosse at the moment. Expect more of that as we go through the morning hours and into the afternoon. We'll really see that light snow around here. That'll come to an end as we get you towards dinner time, though. But temperatures are going to fall through the morning. Already, we're colder than we were expecting to be. So I'll have to update this by the time we get you towards the afternoon, though. Temperatures will likely hover right around 34 degrees. So it is definitely a changing weather day around here.
Maybe a little bit of snow, tiny little
Just a
snowman
little
coming
bit.
for
I mean, you know, we're expecting less than an inch of snow if we do see any at all. But it won't be a lot, but just enough to make things feel like Christmas, I guess.
Hopefully it sticks around
even though
so you
Christmas
and
is
Josh,
gone.
Yeah, hopefully you and Josh can practice making tiny little snowmen.
We'll do that.
Tomorrow
That'll
morning.
be our Saturday goal.
I'll be watching.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Anytime.
We start this morning with a developing story out of the town of Dane. Crews there have been cleared from a scene of a fire along Highway 113 outside that township, where a tanker truck was on fire a couple of hours ago. Dane County dispatchers say that call came in just after 4:30 this morning, where the truck caught fire near a barn. Now, there were no reports of injuries, and we don't know the cause at this point. We're going to be sure to update you on any developments over on channel3000.com. Also new overnight, Madison police are looking for who's behind a number of shots fired calls overnight. That first call came in just after bar time on East Gorham Street downtown for a man with a gun. Once officers got there, they found casings on the ground and heard shots in the distance, but no one was hurt and they didn't find any suspects in the area. Around the same time, shots were also reported on the north side of town along Packers Avenue. Police do not know at this point if those two incidents are related. Officers say a 12-year-old girl is in the hospital this morning with serious injuries after she was hit by a car. It happened just before 6 last night on East Washington Avenue near 1st Street. By the time police got to the scene, the driver had already left. The girl was taken to the hospital, but she is expected to be okay. The driver, meanwhile, later went to a police station to talk to officers about the incident. Now, we don't know their name right now, but officers say they are being charged with hit and run causing injury. A Sun Prairie family is asking for any help they can get after their apartment caught fire the day after Christmas. Jonathan Williams and his kids were inside their home when that fire started. Jonathan did manage to get everyone out safely, but says he didn't have any renter's insurance. Not only did he lose all of his personal items, but he and his wife both ran their businesses out of their home.
I don't even think I processed it yet. I don't know how to describe it. You know, it's like you don't have somewhere to go to. You know, we were in that house for 5 years, so built a life there.
Right now, the family is staying at Jonathan's brother-in-law's home up in Marshall until they can get everything sorted out. If you would like to help them, we have a link to their GoFundMe. That's over on channel3000.com. All right, 6:04 your time now. 80% of Wisconsinites who need long-term care get it from their family rather than from going to a nursing home. That's why News 3 wants to recognize the relentless work those family members put in day and night. Our Christina Laurie is here this morning to share one family story. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Leah. The real heroes here in Wisconsin aren't making headlines for athletic achievements or political accomplishments. They're family members who are logging countless hours this holiday season to provide uncompensated in-home care for their loved ones. This work is not easy and is often thankless. That's why this morning we're taking some time to say thank you. Call him the Can Man. 27-year-old Adam Nostad owns his own aluminum can recycling business. He's a member of the Stoughton Chamber of Commerce and a taxpayer, too. Adam leads a full life, thriving, thanks to his full-time caregiver, Deb.
Right, buddy?
His mom.
Hey, Musser. This is my son, my family, and I will do what I can to provide quality of life for him.
Adam was born with a rare condition. Now, approaching 30, he has the intellectual capacity of a 2-year-old.
Family is not an important thing. It is everything.
The Wisconsin Family and Caregiver Support Alliance says 80% of all caregiving here in Wisconsin is done by family members. For people like Deb, taking care of her son is a full-time, unpaid job.
97% of caregivers report some level of stress, and a great majority of them say they are extremely stressed. They often have had to quit their jobs or reduce their work hours. They've certainly passed up on promotions. So caregiving can be a very stressful job for somebody, and it impacts the whole rest of their life. It impacts their earning power into the future, and ultimately it impacts our economy.
On an average day, Deb spends about 16 hours helping Adam. But not all families have the ability to provide that constant support as they juggle multiple roles caring for several generations.
More people in that sandwich generation where they are moms and dads taking care of young children who now oftentimes are taking care of elderly mom and dad.
The state is now trying to figure out ways to recruit more caregivers, making sure they're well paid, well trained, and given opportunities to grow professionally.
Doctors diagnose, nurses help heal, and caregivers make sense of it all. And I might add, they just plain make it happen.
It takes us 3 weeks to train someone for a 2-hour shift.
People like Deb know the challenges caregivers faced firsthand. Low pay is among her top concerns.
You could work at McDonald's or a retail store for a better wage than you can for personal care.
Deb says the caregivers working with Adam make between $15 and $30 an hour. When you consider the long hours and life or death decisions they make, she doesn't believe that's nearly enough.
When Adam was in the hospital, one of his care providers came up to give us a break because when he's in the hospital, his cares are complex enough that the nursing staff isn't able to keep up.
Hi there. Thanks for all the cans.
Thanks to his mom's undying support,
You gonna give me a recycling tip?
Adam has defied the odds, refusing to let his disability define him.
But the reward is seeing the smile.
Achieving independence for himself,
It gives him purpose. And for me to see how that purpose affects his health and mental well-being is phenomenal.
the Can Man is now providing inspiration to others.
Keep collecting those cans.
Now, family caregivers in Wisconsin provide 538 million hours of care. That's worth an estimated $7 billion, according to AARP.
That's incredible. And this woman is a superwoman. Deb, she's working, she's taking care of her son, in some cases her parents.
And it's not, while the work that she's doing is certainly amazing, she's not alone.
Right.
There are millions of people everywhere, all across the country, but especially here in Wisconsin too, that are part of that sandwich generation, helping their kids and their parents.
Exactly. That's a story a lot of families are going to relate to. Great story, Christina. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, 6:09 your time now. There is an endless list of options for your New Year's resolution, but one that might not be top of mind is spending more time giving back. Habitat for Humanity is in studio this morning to share how you can support their mission in 2019. That's when News 3 This Morning returns.
A 74-degree spread in temperatures across the country as winter takes hold of the western half once again, while springtime temperatures remain over the east. We are at 3 degrees in Bismarck, North Dakota, 7 in International Falls, 20s working their way all the way down into Oklahoma, parts of Texas and New Mexico, where they are getting in on a winter storm right now. Temperatures also starting to trend on the colder side for us here at home. Now 1 degree colder than we were at this time yesterday. Now the temperatures are coming down just to the west. Temperatures are greater than 30 degrees colder than just 24 hours ago. And this air mass is really going to be taking over for us here in Wisconsin as well. Right now we're at 36 degrees. Winds are out of the west now at 9, so no longer out of the southwest, but now just the west as a whole. And they're going to be coming more northwesterly as we push forward into the late morning and afternoon hours. Still no rain or snow over us right now. We do have rain off to the east, along with some light snow starting to move into the western tier of the state out near La Crosse. They are getting in on a little light snow shower activity. Some additional light snow forming across parts of northeastern Iowa. As we speak, we're going to be watching more of that increase as we go through the day, along with that cloud cover sticking around as well. Back to the west, there are winter weather advisories due to slick travel. We are free of those here in Madison. Those winter weather advisories will last through the afternoon for them. Speaking of the afternoon, that's when we'll see our snow really beginning to pick up around here. You'll notice it starting probably around 11 o'clock or so, but then increasing in coverage and intensity through the evening rush hour. Once we get you towards dinner time, though, things will begin to die down. Some of the cloud cover will thin out as well as we head during the overnight hours, and temperatures will fall into the low 20s and upper teens for those overnight lows. Now, as we head into your Saturday, how much snow are we talking? Not a lot. Generally half an inch or less for a lot of folks. If you are a lucky fellow, you will get up to an inch of snow, but I think those reports should be few and far between. Temperatures do drop towards the new year. By Wednesday, we could struggle to get out of the teens for those highs. That is going to be something that we need to watch around here. We'll also have to watch the possibility of a stronger system on New Year's Eve with the chance to bring us some snow. Right now, you have 2 different features that we have to watch. One to the north, another one towards the south and east. Then the models have been trying so closely to phase these into one system, some of which have actually done so. We are going to keep a very close eye on that. If we can get a phased system, we'd be talking about accumulating snow around here for your New Year's Eve. Right now, we do have a PM mix with the chance of some light snow at night headed into January 1st. Also know that our high of 48 today has already happened. We are going to be dropping throughout the rest of the day, staying in the 20s for your Saturday, and then temperatures going below average as we go through the next several days. Now let's go to Jason Ryan with your first alert traffic. Jason?
Good morning. For the Friday commute, it's quiet so far as the Beltline is delay-free and accident-free in both directions. No issues getting across town at this point in the day. In Dane County, the interstate and highways are also clear of anything slowing you down. Downtown, the only real area of concern is North Blair at East Washington, a bit of a backup for this early time of day. Shouldn't be more than a minute or two of a wait. Your drive times may be a touch slow this morning with the wet weather and a chance for snow coming into our area. Plan on leaving a few minutes early to make sure you get to where you're going on time. With First Alert Traffic, I'm Jason Ryan.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Chris. If you are looking for a good New Year's resolution, you might want to consider donating some of your time in 2019. Habitat for Humanity is building affordable housing in 18 communities across Dane County right now, and they're looking for volunteers to help. The organization's CEO, Valerie Rank, joins us this morning to talk about how you can get involved. Thanks again for joining us for a second time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So we talked a little bit about the different ways to get involved in your program because it's not just building homes, right?
Right. We talk about building homes, but we also talk about building community. But specifically, we need volunteers at the restores. We need volunteers building homes. We also have a newer program called a repair program. We take homes that maybe just need a little repair so older homeowners can stay in them. Or a lot of times younger homeowners buy a new home and it's the only home they can afford. It needs some repairs so that it can be a good home. And so we're doing repairs now in Dane County. We've been doing that for about 3 years. So we're looking for volunteers to help with repairs as well.
Now, we talked a little bit in the last half hour also about these ceremonies that we go through when people get their new homes. And I think personally, they're so rewarding to watch for volunteers. Tell us a little bit about what happens there.
So at the home dedications, we're doing maybe 15 to 20 a year. The families talk about what getting a home means means to them, how their kids are going to be able to do better and grow up in a better environment, but also for them as a family, how they're going to be able to celebrate holidays together and have a larger family gathering. For example, we're helping a family, Kier, right now. She and her husband and their 4 kids, they've moved 12 times in the last 12 years. And that's something we hear commonly. To get the best rent they can to afford, families are moving all the time. Well, how can your kids make friends? How can they have that stable place to study every night when they're moving all the time? So owning your own home gives kids a good place to study. It gives them that family and neighborhood to move into. So they talk about this at their home dedications. It's wonderful. We also dedicate entire neighborhoods. We've become a developer.
Wow.
We don't want to, but you can't. You can't go out and buy just lots anymore. So we'll buy large tracts of lands and develop neighborhoods, partnering with other folks. So we developed a neighborhood on the north side, and we did a dedication of the entire neighborhood last summer. And one of the women talked about how she's going to be able to do simple things like do laundry in her own home now instead of having to drive to the laundromat. And that sounds like a really simple thing, Leah, but when you don't have to leave your kids home alone or drag them to the laundromat, now they can spend time practicing their band instruments or doing their homework, and you'll have more family time together. Just little things like that can mean so much to a family and help kids have success in their academic life.
Exactly, and those little things that a lot of us really don't think about.
Right.
Coming up into the new year, what are some programs that you guys are going to be focusing on?
So like we talked about, the home building, the home repair, that's fairly new to us.
Right.
We're trying to expand that because just some simple repairs can make a home more warm, more safe. Putting in a wheelchair ramp makes it more accessible. We also do financial capability training.
Oh, neat.
Now what that means is basic budget and credit help for folks. We've always done that for our families that we're building with so that they can be sure to make their mortgage payments. Now a lot of people think we give away homes. Not true. They pay full price for their home. They're making mortgage payments to us for up to 30 years, just like you or I would have to do. So we want to make sure that they're financially successful. So we're trying to expand that now and help more people with financial training. So we're also looking for coaches. You don't have to have any special training. I don't even balance my checkbook, and I can be a financial coach. But if you just know a little bit about being responsible, you can be a financial coach to a family.
Lots of different ways to get involved in your community, make a real difference for these families. Thank you, Valerie, for sharing that.
Thank you.
All right, 6:19 your time now. Coming up next, we are talking about a new movie from the director who brought you Talladega Nights and Anchorman. I'm Ron Burgundy. He's taking a stab at a biopic about Dick Cheney, a little more serious. Will Loper's preview of Vice is next. And you might be able to put away the umbrella as the rain showers turn to light snow later today. Chris Reese has your first alert forecast when News 3 This Morning returns.
A quiet weather morning across Madison as opposed to yesterday with all of the rain and the wind, but we're tracking more action into the afternoon. Already a little bit of light snow starting to show up near La Crosse, so we're going to watch that as we go through the rest of the morning and afternoon, try to expand in coverage just a little bit. In fact, we are expecting to see some light snow through the area, likely lasting through the early afternoon hours before starting to wind down as we get you just to about dinner time with temperatures falling through the 20s. Right now, we are at 36 degrees, so those temperatures are starting to fall. They'll continue to fall as we go through the morning, starting to level out probably in the mid-30s throughout the afternoon, and that's when we'll begin to see those light snowflakes fly across the sky. Leah?
All right, thank you so much, Chris. This weekend in theaters, Christian Bale is at it again, eating lots of pie and gaining 40 pounds to play Vice President Dick Cheney. What a tough job.
Oh, it's so hard.
The movie is Vice, and here with the preview is our film critic, Will Loper. Good morning.
Good morning. To get into character this morning, I had a pie on the way here, too.
Smart man.
Yes. Once again, Christian Bale undergoes a transformation to become nearly unrecognizable in a movie directed by Adam McKay, who also helmed such films as Anchorman and Step Brothers, if you can believe such a thing. But here we are. Take a look.
The vice presidency is a mostly symbolic job. However, if we came to a different understanding, I can handle the more mundane jobs, overseeing bureaucracy, military, energy, and foreign policy. Yeah, right. I like that.
Watch the story of Dick Cheney from college years to his ambitions to become the most powerful vice president in history.
When you have power, people will always try to take it from you, always.
Are you even more ruthless than you used to be?
Vice is rated R.
So we're gonna do this thing, or what? I mean, is this happening? I believe we can make this work.
I can hardly believe that's Christian Bale.
I know, right?
Looks nothing like him.
And there's also Steve Carell as Donald Rumsfeld, also nearly unrecognizable. I mean, you can hear it in the voice, and Amy Adams as Dick Cheney's wife, Lynn.
Star power.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So you said the same guy who made Talladega Nights, this also made The Big Short.
So with The Big Short, it's kind of, he's really interested in these political and social issues, it seems like. But it is just really interesting that he was like the broad comedies, Anchorman and Will Ferrell just being ridiculous, and now he's really focused on these serious issues.
Yeah, quite the range. All right, you've got Monday off, huh?
I do indeed, yes, I won't be here.
All right, well, have a good, happy New Year.
Yep, I'll see you after the New Year.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
Still ahead, there's a new report out explaining why Wisconsin is seeing a child care worker shortage. We'll share how it'll impact your family when News 3 This Morning continues. The state superintendent is taking Governor-elect Tony Evers' place, making history as the first African-American in that position. And as you're taking down your holiday decorations, there's a warning out about an invasive insect found in wreaths across the state.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's 6:30 now on your Friday, December 28th. And I cannot believe we're talking about taking down our Christmas decorations without any snow on the ground.
It really is hard, but maybe we'll get some snow on the ground. I'm hopefully leaving mine up until we can get some snow.
Fingers crossed.
And I hope that happens sooner than later, because I just really want some true snow on the ground for that. But for now, we are talking about temperatures that have fallen 10 degrees with moisture still around. We're at 36 degrees right now, 31 in Eau Claire, 25 in Ironwood, and the 20s are all working their way towards the south. And so I do think we'll see temperatures in the 20s later on this afternoon and evening. Winds still out of the west at 9 miles per hour as we speak. But as we go through the morning, expect some light rain showers to develop initially, transitioning over to a pretty robust period of some light snow around here. That'll likely last through the evening rush hour before coming to an end. We'll only see about half an inch of snow, so it will not be a lot. But temperatures this morning will continue to fall, and then into the afternoon, we'll see them hovering right around 32 to 34 degrees. We'll see some wind around as well. Now, if you're headed out now for traffic, you're headed to work, or you're just hitting the road in general, we are seeing an increased volume in traffic right now, but the roads are handling well. They're wet, though, so take it just a little bit easy. We are seeing a few slowdowns near Stoughton Road and the Beltline. Otherwise, for the most part, things are looking good across the city of Madison and Dane County as a whole.
I cannot believe earlier this morning we dropped 10 degrees in an hour.
We dropped 10 degrees in an hour. That happens.
That's incredible.
It's, you know, it could be 50 in 24 hours. I don't think that's happening now, but sometimes with weather, you just get these massive temperature drops, and that was a small one.
A week in Wisconsin, 50, then snow.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Thank you, Chris.
Anytime.
We start this half hour in Washington, where there's still no sign of ending the partial government shutdown, now heading into its 7th day. About 800,000 federal workers are either on furlough or working without pay for a week now. Both the Senate and the House were back in session yesterday, but weren't able to work out a deal to end the funding stalemate. White House officials say the dispute could stretch into the new year. President Trump has said he will not sign any deal without funding for a border wall. The House passed a funding package giving that project $5 billion last week, but Senate leaders have not been able to agree to that amount. As 2018 comes to an end, the FAA says fewer people are dying in experimental aircraft crashes. A report by the Experimental Aircraft Association out yesterday says the number of deaths in amateur-built planes dropped for a 4th straight year. From October of 2017 to October of this year, 44% of those accidents were deadly. That's down 2%. EAA has been working closely with the FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board to reduce those fatal accidents. They've also released a flight test manual for amateur-built planes and started adding another safety pilot during flight testing. Governor-elect Tony Evers is a little more than a week away now from being sworn in as our next governor, and now he's announcing his replacement as state superintendent. Evers intends to appoint the current assistant state superintendent. That's Caroline Stanford Taylor. She'll be Wisconsin's first African-American in that position. Governor-elect Evers called her a dedicated, thoughtful leader who puts the interests of kids before all else. A Janesville man wants to help those without a place to call home. The Gazette reports he's asking the city to let him build tiny homes on a vacant city plot. Now, we first told you about Richard Snyder back in 2014 when he started the process of restoring stained glass windows over at the Oak Hill Cemetery Chapel. After a community-wide fundraiser to pay for $1.5 million in labor costs, that revamped chapel is going to have a grand opening this summer. But Snyder is already thinking ahead to his next project. He has pitched a plan to the city to build several 200-square-foot tiny homes that would serve as temporary housing for people who are homeless. Janesville's Housing Services Director says other groups have pitched similar tiny home ideas, but there are a few kinks that need to be worked out first. Those include changing Janesville's zoning rules to allow tiny homes, securing the proper funding, and making sure the homes are equipped for Wisconsin winters.
We really see consumers demanding experiences like an Airbnb. They want something more intimate. They want something more unique. So we want to be able to answer that consumer demand and really grow to match what people want.
Turns out hosting your house to strangers isn't a bad way to make a buck here in Wisconsin. Airbnb says it earned more than $41 million this year across the state. Top counties for hosts include Milwaukee, Dane, Door, even Rock County. That has meant some changes for hotels in our area, too. Managers say they've had to adapt what they do to meet today's standards. That includes providing Wi-Fi and making sure there are enough outlets to charge everyone's devices. 6:35 your time now. More than half of Wisconsin residents live in what's known as a child care desert. According to the Center for American Progress, it's an area with very few options for daycare providers. The Wisconsin Early Childhood Association says there are a couple of reasons for that. One, the average wage for a child care worker with an associate's degree is $10 an hour, and the majority don't get health care benefits or paid time off. Two, when unemployment is down like it is now, child care workers are more likely to take on higher paying opportunities. Because parents assume the cost of childcare, there's just not enough money in the industry to hang on to workers.
We hear stories of childcare programs literally closing overnight and families left with no care for their kids, no ability to get to work the next day, all because it's incredibly hard right now to keep people in this field.
A shortage of daycare workers and options means it's also harder for parents to work and employers to hire those parents. The Wisconsin Early Childhood Association does offer a reward program which gives qualified childcare professionals a bit of a stipend. All right, if you're ready to part with the holidays after the new year, Madison street crews will be stopping by your house next week to start Christmas tree pickup. Round 1 starts January 2nd. All trees should be on the curb by 7 a.m. that day. They should be all collected by January 8th. Then a second round of collection will start on January 22nd, ending by February 8th. You will need to remove all tree stands, decorations, anything else from the tree for it to be collected. And if you're trying to get rid of any other holiday decorations, DACCAP is asking people to burn their wreaths and any other evergreen decorations after inspectors found invasive insects on some of the items sold at chain stores across Wisconsin. The insect feeds on the underside of needles and threatens tree farms and native forests. You don't have to burn your stuff, though. Just make sure you bag those decorations before you throw them in the trash. All right, 6:37 your time now. A new report shares just how important athletic trainers are to your child's health. We're talking about how they're making the recovery process safer when News 3 This Morning returns. Welcome back. We always ask you to share your morning with us here on the program, and Kevin posted this picture over on Facebook. This little guy was crossing Yellowstone Lake when he caught this photo. I am a sucker for a good nature picture, and I can't believe he got such a sharp one of a little guy. Thanks so much, Kevin. What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it on our Facebook page or on Twitter, and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. Danica and I share our favorites right here on the program every morning. All right, 6:40 your time now. There is some new research on how having athletic trainers around your kids can help keep them safe. That study shows athletes at high schools with athletic trainers were more likely to have properly reported and treated concussions than those without. 100% of kids who saw trainers went through a test to make sure it was safe to return to the field. That's compared to 50% of kids who didn't see trainers as often. Kids with trainers also sat out longer to recover from those concussions. Another new study finds UW athletes are in better mental shape compared to their classmates. The university's School of Medicine and Public Health surveyed around 800 athletes and 1,300 undergrads about their physical and mental health. Researchers say the mental health scores of athletes were higher, even compared to undergrads who were physically active and participated in club athletics. That might be because Division I athletes typically have more resources available to them, like tutors, psychologists, and trainers. All right, the weirdly warm temperatures are going to get a little closer to normal today. Chris says rain showers this afternoon could turn to flurries. His first alert forecast is coming up after the break. But first, it's December 28th. We want to say happy birthday to Graham, Aria, Ren, and all the kiddos turning 3 today. Thanks so much for celebrating with us here on News 3 this morning.
And there's quite a spread in temperatures across the country right now as the cold air takes over the western half of the country once again. We are at 3 degrees in Bismarck, North Dakota right now, 76 all the way down in Miami, Florida right now. So you are seeing quite the difference. We have one of those here in town as well across the eastern half of the state. That's where temperatures are warmer than they were at this time yesterday. Back to the west, that cold air certainly beginning to make its way on into town, and we are going to see more of that as we go through the morning. Right now we are at 36 degrees in Madison. Already we've seen a 10 to 11 degree temperature drop as we've gone through about the past 3 or 4 hours or so. Winds are out of the west at 9 miles per hour, and we're going to keep that around, but we'll get more of a northerly component as we go closer towards the afternoon. So be aware of that. Back towards the north and west, we are seeing a little bit of light rain and light snow right now. That's not amounting to much, but be mindful of that. That's developed over the past hour or so. Back to the north and west, more snow showers are starting to come in, and watch for that to expand in coverage and intensity as we go through the morning. There's still some cloud cover associated with that as well. We'll watch that thicker cloud cover work its way on into town. We also do have some winter weather advisories back to the west where roads will likely be slickened up by what's falling out of the sky. That does not include us here in Madison. Keep that in mind. But by about 11 o'clock, you'll notice some light rain and light snow developing that will transition over to pretty much all snow as we head into the afternoon. This will be light snow, while it'll likely be widespread light snow. I don't think it will amount to much. We are talking generally amounts of ½ an inch or less in terms of actual accumulated snow from this. But temperatures will be coming down behind that front, staying in the 20s for tomorrow. A little bit milder for the end of the year, but then starting off 2019 on a very cold note with temperatures struggling to get out of the 20s and the teens. And that could be worse if we get a little bit of a snowpack on the ground. The models are trying to show that. Here's the GFS. It shows two different features. You have your northern feature and your southern feature. It keeps them split, but tries to merge them together into one. Even still, this would bring some light accumulating snow around here. Here's the European model, though. It starts out with the snow as we go into your New Year's Eve, but then phases them into one system. That's what we have to watch very closely. If you get a phased system, we'll be talking about accumulating snow for your New Year's Eve. If not a phased system, things will stay as flurries. And so that's where we're going to keep the forecast as of now. We'll have a chance for some light snow Monday night into Tuesday, and we will keep you guys up to date on all of the developments as that one gets closer. But even still, whether we get snow or not, it's going to be cold. January 1st, 21 degrees, a low of 2 that night. And some places likely will be dropping below 0, especially if you get any kind of snowpack around here. But expect those temperatures to feel like winter after we've had all of that time with temperatures above freezing. Here is Ziggy.
Oh.
Just looking cute. I hope she's watching News 3. If you're going to be out watching your cat or walking your cat, whatever people like to do with it. I know
It's a Friday, Chris.
I know there's a cat ordinance where you have to keep them on a leash around here or something like that. So
how do you know that?
One of my friends told me. It may not be true. I just think it's wild. But here's the deal. By about 3 o'clock, we'll see temperatures in the low 30s and probably some snowflakes flying around here.
All right, Ziggy, sounds like a nice little walk this afternoon.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chris. Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next. 6:51 now, time for the morning sprint. Chris Reese says we could see rain turn to snow as temperatures drop today. And Christina Laurie is talking about the stress Wisconsin's unpaid caregivers are under. But we start in Washington, where the government shutdown will stretch into the new year without a funding deal in Congress. The White House says President Trump won't sign anything without more money for a border wall with Mexico. Both the Senate and the House were back in session yesterday, but have not come to an agreement. Highway 113 outside the town of Dane is clear after a tanker truck there caught fire earlier this morning. Dane County dispatchers say that call came in just after 4:30, where that truck caught fire near a barn. There were reports of injuries, and we don't know the cause at this point. We'll be sure to update you on any developments over on channel3000.com. Madison police are looking for who's behind a number of shots fired calls overnight. The first call came in just after bar time on East Gorham Street downtown for a man with a gun. Once officers got there, they did find casings on the ground and heard shots in the distance, but no one was hurt and they didn't find any suspects in the area. Around the same time, shots were also reported on the north side of town along Packers Avenue. Police do not know at this point if those two incidents are related. Officers also investigating a hit and run that has a 12-year-old girl in the hospital this morning. It happened just before 6 last night on East Washington Avenue near 1st Street. By the time police got to the scene, the driver had already left. The girl was taken to the hospital, but she is expected to be okay. We do not know the driver's name yet, but they did talk to officers and will be charged with hit and run causing injury.
The Wisconsin Family and Caregiver Support Alliance says 80% of all caregiving in the state of Wisconsin is done by family members, and now there's a push to increase pay for those caregivers. Earlier this hour, we introduced you to Deb Nostad. She takes care of her son Adam, a 27-year-old with the mental capacity of a 2-year-old, who is still able to successfully run his very own business thanks to his mom's support. Now, her job is not easy. 97% of caregivers report some sort of stress, and a clear majority report they're extremely stressed. Family caregivers in Wisconsin provide 538 million hours of care worth an estimated $7 billion to their parents, spouses, partners, and other adult loved ones, according to AARP.
We're watching the chance for rain showers to turn over to snow today. While we are clear of any rain or snow in the Madison area as of now, we are tracking some just to the north and west. And we'll see that increasing through the morning hours, starting out with rain that goes over to light snow that'll likely linger all the way through the dinner time hours, amounting to about ½ an inch or less.
Thank you, Chris. After all the rain we saw yesterday, Madison has now seen more than 50 inches in 2018. That's just the second time in history we've hit that mark, and the first time since 1881, which was our wettest year ever. Usually we only see about 34 inches of rain a year, but you might count us lucky. That same system that brought our rain yesterday brought blizzard conditions to other parts of the Midwest.
Obviously, weather in Wisconsin is always variable. You can't ever control it, but we just kind of take whatever they throw at us and take it in stride.
The rain might have dampened your spirits lately, but skiers and snowboarders are staying optimistic. There's still been a decent turnout over at Cascade Mountain, although business has been slower than normal for the week following Christmas. Right now, skiers and riders are coasting on about 18 to 36 inches, but with colder weather on the horizon, they should be able to fire up the snowmaking machine or even get some help from Mother Nature herself. Social media is lighting up this morning after a transformer explosion in Queens that turned the New York City skyline blue overnight. The NYPD says the transformer exploded at a Con Edison facility in Astoria just after 9 p.m. The explosion caused that eerie glow that could be seen across the city that night. It's not clear if anyone was injured in the explosion. Just over a week until Governor-elect Tony Evers takes his new position, he's naming his replacement for state school superintendent and making history in the progress. He says he intends to appoint the current assistant state superintendent, Caroline Stanford Taylor. She'll be the state's first African-American leader of public instruction. Governor-elect Evers called her a dedicated, thoughtful leader who puts the best interests of kids before all else.
I hope that banks will realize the value of this crop and make it available for others to start farming it and give farmers the opportunity to increase their income for their families and save their farms in some instances.
Hemp farmers are having a hard time getting help from their bank when it comes to harvesting the new crop. A survey from the Wisconsin Bankers Association shows 83% of its members say they will not actively help provide loans to hemp growers and processors. Most bankers say not enough is known about the hemp crop or the revenue that could come from farming it. The Packers will be hosting the Detroit Lions at Lambeau on Sunday. While both teams are eliminated from playoff contention, here's a reason to watch. It could end up being a record-breaking day for receiver Davante Adams. He's 2 catches away from breaking the team's record for most catches in a season and 134 yards from record for most yards in a season. All right, 6:57 now. Let's turn it over to Jason Ryan with the last look at your First Alert traffic. Hey, Jason.
Good morning. The Beltline still moving along for the Friday commute with no delays, although keep a heads up at Verona Road where there's a bit of a backup happening, so plan on getting held up for an extra minute or so. Downtown East Wash and both sides of Blair getting jammed up. Each wash is slow from the Capitol Square out to Livingston. Your drive time still around the normal range, but with the rain from yesterday, the roads could still be a touch slick. With First Alert Traffic, I'm Jason Ryan.
Thank you, Jason. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too.
And we are starting out with temperatures now at 34 degrees. So we've continued to see those temperatures drop, and they are dropping like a rock. As they do so, expect those temperatures to stay pretty much in the 30s throughout the morning. Light snow returning this afternoon.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Have a great weekend.